Wow. So today it's Mother's Day here in Sweden, and yeah, I celebrated her yesterday too, and today also with my cat, which was interesting. I'm not going into that anymore, but yeah, I've had a cold for last. Oh, hey, someone who will leave soon. I'm supposing. Anyways, yeah, I've had a cold this week, and it was really awesome to do the yoga then because it really cleanses the nadis, the channels in the body. So took a break from reading about it, but I will continue now. Where was we? Where were we? Oh, I should have lit the. Wait a sec. So, right, we'll see. I just wonder where I will come to chapters where I disagree. I mean, I shouldn't search for that, I guess, but let's see, where were we? Could have done this before. Here, maybe. I think maybe we were at the. Yeah, I think we were actually here at the varieties of yoga. Maybe. I hope so. Otherwise, I skipped something. Also, it was like a very weird sound. Last video I made. I don't know if I even made it public, actually. It was, made a strange sound. So. Anyways, varieties of yoga. I just now also began to started listening to an audio video with Sadhguru about Kundalini yoga. I just heard the first sentences, but I have to go back and listen to that too, actually. But he said that it is the only thing I heard so far is that it's this form of yoga releases a lot of or give you access to many other dimensions, and then you need to be ready for those then. Kind of what I heard, but it was more. Well, maybe with the link beneath if I listen and think it's good. Yeah. Just as all rivers end up in the ocean, all yoga ends up raising the Kundalini. Yeah. What is the Kundalini? It is the creative potential of the human being. Yoga Bhajan. That's awesome. Yeah. Who doesn't want that? But sometimes we aren't ready for that. Most of the time, I would assume we aren't ready for our own potential, right? So this is. I always have strange light when I should do this anyway. Yoga has its origin in the human experience. These techniques for living a healthy, happy, and spiritually aware life have developed through thousands of years and across many civilizations. The human science of yoga are said to have been first systemized and used in the evolved form over 40,000 years ago. They were openly taught and integrated into daily living. Sorry, I don't almost see what I read. These systems were not a mystical activity. The work of the early yogis was based upon tangible observations of energy and the effect of different activities and attitudes on the balance of those energies in the individual. All forms of yoga focus on stimulating and regulating the human energy that is the very essence of consciousness. This energy is called the Kundalini. As it originally evolved, each student of yoga worked on all aspects of himself. He exercised the physical, disciplined the mental, analyzed and discussed the world intellectually, etc. Yoga was holistic, permeating every level of human existence. as with all the things that I do, actually. But anyway, with the passage of time, the techniques became diluted and divided as individuals catered to their different needs and personalities. They chose to emphasize and practice separate components of the total yogic system. Yeah. Some preferred just exercise, ignoring mantra. Some did mantra and meditation without breath control. Over time, this led to the ultimate recognition of 22 different schools of yoga. Of this original division of 22, fewer than a dozen schools of yoga are widely practiced today. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts, but I won't digress too far now. Even now. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll just move on. Tri Marga. The Bhagavad Gita calls Karma Yogi, Bhakti Yoga, and Gyan Yoga the Tri Marga, or threefold path. Karma Yoga, freedom of action. Karma Yoga is action in service to the boundless will of the soul. Karma Yoga is action in service to the boundless will of the soul. Each action becomes a dharma, a joyful duty. It is selfless action with no thought of reward. The philosophy of Karma Yoga is traditionally stated in the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna was instructed by Krishna that it was his duty to fulfill his destiny without consideration for his own misgivings and feelings to the contrary. He was to perform his obligations selflessly without attachment to their outcome, instead of making superficial external changes. The path of Karma Yoga involves changing our internal attitudes and emotions, transforming our actions as we refine our motivations. Action is transcended through action. Also, I won't mix this with many other thoughts, but very much so what is described here is actually in the medicine wheel also. And I think, I haven't read that one, but Alberto Villoldo, who have spread this monarchy and so to the West, I think he have written a book with someone about the similarities between yoga and this path, actually. I should have read it, but again, there are lots of books to read. Anyway, but I can see it when I read this. This is what you do, actually, in maybe a different way, but still, the goal is, yeah. Anyway, Bhakti Yoga, transcending self through love. Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion, commitment, total and complete surrender to love of the divine as the beloved. Or you just hear Rumi in that, don't you? To the Bhakti Yogi, Yogi Bhajan says, be devoted, praise the Lord, forget everything else. Then sometime in your life, God will bless you and your Kundalini will rise and you will be enlightened. The path of Kundalini, the path of the faithful in most of the world's religions is Bhakti Yoga. Yeah, so it doesn't, even if it's not called that, can be anyway. As an example of Bhakti Yoga is the Hare Krishna movement. Didn't even know that. I could have imagined, but yeah. Gyan Yoga, yeah. Seeing with the eye of wisdom. Gyan, that's often how you hold the finger pose with the thumb and, and the, what do you say? point finger. Anyways, never mind. Gyan means knowledge, or more specifically, the experienced knowledge inside oneself. Gyan Yoga, also known as Jnana Yoga, is the path of intellectual discrimination, knowing clearly without the subconscious clouding the clarity. Yeah. It is the path of the intellectual and intuitive realization of the divine, in which one sees God in everything. The flow always goes both ways. God and me and God are one. In each other, in each the other is seen clearly. In Gyan Yoga, one looks at everything, dissects it, sees that the cause of everything is nothing but God, and concentrates on that. Oh, that's very, very lovely practice, right? Maybe, I mean, I guess everyone would feel what they are mostly drawn to with any of these. Anyway, Hatha Yoga, cultivating the body. Hatha Yoga is the most popular and widely practiced form of yoga in the West. It concentrates on perfecting the physical body in order to affect the mind and consciousness. It utilizes 84 postures, asanas, 24 mudras, energy seals, and three Maha mudras, along with breath control. I'm sorry, I stutter when I read it. Yogi Bhajan describes Hatha Yoga as a science where the sun and moon energy are directly united to raise the Kundalini. I can't read it. Hatha Yoga requires many years of practice on a knowledgeable teacher to reach perfection, and it emphasizes flexibility and patience. Raja Yoga, becoming a spiritual king. Raja Yoga, the royal path, is referred to as the yoga of meditation. It is a science whose philosophy includes the path of Ashtanga Yoga, Eightfold Path. We will get to the Eightfold Path. I guess it's the same as, maybe, I don't know, maybe not, but just think about the Buddhist one. Yeah. Expounded by Patanjali. This must be something else, maybe, probably then. Raja Yoga involves the study of the psychic centers and the development of the will and mental faculties as carriers of the great spiritual energy. Yogi Bhajan says, you focus your mind energy on each center of consciousness, and you raise your consciousness level by level to the highest perfection that your Kundalini can be raised, to the lotus of 1,000 petals. Traditionally, this path called for concentration, monastic type of life, and needed years to reach perfection. Yeah, there will be more about this also later, but I also think about the witchy things and so on. Yeah, and maybe in any thing you dive deeper into, I mean, so many things are interwoven with each other. I couldn't at least pull out the threads and be clear on what anything is exactly. Actually, it's too mixed together in one way, but also separate. But I also think that what works will continue to spread in various ways, so things will overlap in a way. But I don't know. Anyway, Mantra Yoga, transcendence through sound, and Laya Yoga, merging the finite with the infinite. Mantra Yoga uses sound as a vehicle of transcendence. Well, that's like also shamanic drumming and whatnot, right? Anyway, the goal of Laya Yoga is to merge finite consciousness with infinite consciousness. With Laya and Mantra Yoga, the mind is expanded through rhythm, breath, sound, and mantra. We will also get to that more, I think. This is the most powerful direct method of rising above the duality of ego consciousness through the one-pointedness of mind, breath, and sound, whose potency is maximized by being practiced in groups. Yeah, that's sometimes it's scary, when people just repeat. It's like you know, as if you are brainwashed sort of thing. But it's really also very lovely to be in that energy of sounds where you do similar sounds. Yeah. White tantric yoga. Is this really such a jump? I feel no. It's very... Tantra means to weave. Oh, does it really? I didn't even know that. I'm so interested in that. I mean, in the wider sense of tantra. It is the precision of consciousness as measured in terms of latitude and longitude. Sorry. Right. Tantric yoga is the way of union of the male-female polarity in the individual consciousness. Through the practice of tantric yoga, subconscious and mental blocks to living one's potential are cleared. It uses the Z energy, in the alphabet, which flows diagonally. Yogi Bhajan says, Tantra is the spun fiber of the cosmos. Whosoever knows the diagonal energy knows the will of God. This is very interesting. There are 3 kinds of tantric yoga: red, black, and white. This sounds very alchemical, don't it? Though. Let's see now what they say. Red tantric yoga involves physical sexual practices. Okay. I've been too active now. Okay. Black tantric yoga involves the control of others through the use of mental power, or the control of the elements through the refinement of mental power. Like a witchcraft, right? Neither are part of white tantric yoga. White tantric yoga is only practiced under direct supervision of the Mahantantric in groups of couples. It involves the controlled use of group and individual energy generated through maintaining a position, mantra, concentration, and communication between the individuals and the group under the protective aura of the Mahantantric. White Tantric Yoga is the reclaiming of innocence and the acquisition of purity of the subconscious through a close synchronization of the individual in their polarities with infinity. Sounds beautiful though, but in White Tantric Yoga, energy is created en mass to purify the physical and mental bodies. The soul, which is already pure, starts relating to the very existence of the being. Wow. Beyond understanding here right now for me, but Yogi Bhajan said that. The longitude and latitude which creates the divine human attitude. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm too tired for this today. But I really feel that it not only, doing the yoga itself or breath techniques and so, first of all, it's very cleansing when you have a cold. But it's not only, everything is holistic, yeah. So I also realized that it cleanses other things like emotional patterns, attitudes, stuff like that. Because I could see actually this night I had this dream about, well, I have very, very special dreams overall, but this particular dream surprised me quite a lot because it was someone I've been not so fond of, let's say, kind of angry a long, long time, and more so maybe lately. Last year and latest years or so. And suddenly in my dream, I didn't know I'd reached there myself in my awake awareness, but in my dream, I could find like a space of forgiveness there, and that was really surprising to me. But I feel that that is part of what the yoga does with me. It cleanses this, actually, you could call it hatred. It cleanses those really, really heavy and deep things that they're very difficult to just by. I do other practices, as you know, maybe know, ceremonies, shamanic things, and so on, that also works efficiently to some degree. I mean, it depends also on the depth, and I guess what you are, who you are, really. I mean, what matches your vibe, so to speak. And especially in my case, that this is very disciplined, that you do it every day, and that brings, I mean, it's a strong practice as well. I do other practices, but this is a very strong practice, and doing it every day, it's unavoidable, really, to gradually get rid of those things. They kind of fade away. They melt. Like, it's impossible to hang onto, and you don't want to. Obviously, I even before wanted to find a way to get rid of a lot of stuff, but this is the thing is, you can't do it by willpower. At least I can't. I couldn't. So I mean, it's a process still with myself, but it's still happening a lot in just very short while now. In that sense, and that is very liberating. Very, I mean, you feel lighter. Obviously, it's. I knew that this is not healthy. You can't carry so much. If you would call it negativity, but anyways, heaviness. I mean, that's not good for yourself, even if nothing else. So that's fascinating, because I didn't expect it, because this have been, I mean, you've not been clinging to it, but it have been hanging on for quite some time, and not like all the time or so, but it comes back, and when it comes back, it does so with force. And I think this is releasing it, actually, which feels awesome to me. Anyway, okay. Yogi Bhajan and on Kundalini Yoga and Hatha Yoga. I could have taught Hatha Yoga like everyone else. I am good. I am a good Hatha Yogi. In India, when the Hatha Yogis got sick, I would heal them. I am a specialist in yoga therapy, where you use Hatha Yoga postures, certain mudras, kriyas, and nutrition to treat people. Actually, also that is why one of the reasons why I've been so drawn to this, also with the Munike and so, but the shamanic part, but is that I also do that. I sometimes see. I mean, I guess I have helpers showing me, even before I even knew yoga at all. Actually, I saw posters and so on. I got messages from Mother Earth, and I've seen the efficiency of it when I have showed or explained those positions to people, and they have healed. So I feel that there is such a divine power in these various practices that I've described. So anyway, so I feel this is really my path to work with, also combined with a lot of other things that I love, and also feel is sufficient, but still, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I choose not to teach just Hatha Yoga. I started teaching Kundalini Yoga, and everyone told me it will be hard and it will not be popular. No one really wants awareness in the West. You should start with Hatha Yoga. I had to decide, am I going to do this for myself and pick the easy route, or am I going to deliver the knowledge undiluted and as a legacy for these people? I felt that the people in the West need the type of system which could give them a positive realization and awareness in a short time. That system had to be strong enough and practical enough that any householder can practice it. All the traditional Hatha Yoga systems were aimed at students who could limit or withdraw from normal life. There is no better system known to me than Kundalini Yoga. Though Raja Yoga is great, it is very mental, and a student has to be very well prepared for it. The beauty of Kundalini Yoga is that if you can just physically sit there, fix the automatic rhythm of your pranayam, breath control, add a creative nad, inner sound, your mind becomes focused and balanced. In one Kriya, you can immediately achieve a complete physical, mental, and spiritual balance. It works so efficiently and quickly because of this completeness, balance, and energy. Since any method, from prayer to dance, that helps you achieve universal consciousness must eventually raise your Kundalini to accomplish it, why not start with Kundalini Yoga direct? Yeah. What is the purpose of Hatha Yoga? The purpose is to raise the awareness. It is the technology which brings the apana. Haven't I read this? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I read it again, but I need to hear it again then. Which brings the apana and prana, the moon and sun powers, together to raise the consciousness through the central equilibrium line. In other words, its stated aim is to raise the Kundalini. The problem is that it takes about 22 years to raise it that way, even with perfect practice. That is a long method. The difference with that and Kundalini Yoga is only a matter of time and rate of progress. The purpose of the two approaches is the same, only Kundalini Yoga is direct, quick, and a perfect practice for the pace of a modern household. Teaching Hatha Yoga and Kundalini Yoga are different. First of all, it is difficult to teach Kundalini Yoga. A teacher who does not have a beam of energy within him or herself cannot teach it. That is the first fundamental. A teacher of Kundalini Yoga, as a teacher of Kundalini Yoga, you should be established at a certain steady level of consciousness to pull the people up to that level. If you do not have that link of consciousness, the golden link, and the spark of awareness, then you can only instruct in darkness. That is the problem. You could come and I could give you a bunch of powerful and elegant exercises. You would feel good. However, when I then talk about life and humanity and the total sum of existence and consciousness, you have to feel that magnetism come out of me. My reality and confirmed consciousness must be present to act as a guide and compass. If I can't give you that, there is nothing to pull you to that new level. Wow, this is fascinating. Kundalini Yoga is the master science of experience and awareness. It is a transmission of consciousness from person to person. It is a Raj Yoga that awakens you inside. That is the basic difference between Hatha Yoga and Kundalini Yoga. Wow, this is very beautiful, I feel. Maybe you don't. And yeah. And I can also see that really, and how it can go wrong if you don't have it. Also, it can become like abusive towards yourself. I've seen those who have very, very strict attitude to themselves using it, and it doesn't work well. Eventually, they don't even like it because they feel that it's like it's become too clear, their inner workings, their inner attitudes. I guess. Okay. What is Raj Yoga and what does it have to do with Kundalini Yoga? Kundalini Yoga is a Raj Yoga. To understand what that means, begin with the root word yoga, union. It implies a relationship between two or more things which are united. To a yogi, this is the soul and being of God or God. This is a soul and being or God. This is beautiful word for it, actually, being. Soul and the being. Anyway, it is the seen and the unseen. It is the relationship between the everywhere present play of Prakriti, the manifest universe, and Purusha, the seed potential of the cosmos at each point. These pathways toward union and relationship are the contours of yoga practices. They are, as Patanjali says, limbs of the experience of union. What else? I was thinking about something about it. Yeah, anyway. Yogi Bhajan gave a sequence to explain how these approaches are woven together in the fabric of yoga practice. First, there is Bhakti Yoga. This is the act of surrender, devotion, and commitment. It is first because it conquers the negative mind. You use the negative mind to negate your own ego and old patterns and accept the command of your higher consciousness. The rule of this facet of this path is I obey. Without this, few begin real transformation and awakening. Second, there is Shakti Yoga. This is the development of discipline, skill, and power. The purpose of Shakti Yoga is to realize I, the ego, am the universe, God, the infinity. Its law is I command. Soul and I become one. If the student has humility and balance, it is I command myself and my impulse to spontaneously support my soul. This is why it is said, Bhakti leads to Shakti, devotion leads to power. I command myself and my impulse to spontaneously support my soul. Self and my impulse is better. This is why it said Bhakti leads to Shakti, devotion leads to power. The metaphor implies that as you love the infinite protects and directs you. You learn what you need to recognize your destiny, assess the distance to it, and perform the discipline to move toward it. It represents the use and refinement of the positive mind. Many Kundalini Yoga teachers are familiar with this stage and are challenged to balance the demands of professionalism in yoga and devotion, using the yoga to serve themselves and using themselves to serve the yoga. Third is Raj Yoga. Yogi Bhajan says of Raj Yoga, it is the royal command and rulership of yogic virtue and values. Guru Ram Das sits on that throne. This is the full development of identity and being when we talk like a sage and walk like a king. Your presence works. Just as a king is on the throne and things happen all around to enact his orders, you become still and watch the will of God and the creative pulse of the universe. The rule for this is I am, I am. Yeah, yeah. Like the little am and the larger one. It is the throne of the neutral mind. The least will of the king is perceived by the court and acted on, often without an explicit order. In this place, the universe and you are not separated. There is an immediate and subtle response to your will. The challenge is to let go and let God, to trust deeply in the process of fulfillment and support as it acts through the path and will of God. Mostly the ego wants control and has its own schemes and expectations about how things will happen. But in the larger flow of life, Kartapurk, the pathways of action are largely unconscious and occur outside the framework of the ego. To embrace that fully and to stay in synchrony with that larger will is the gift, power, and capacity of the Raj Yogi. The line of Raj Yoga came from Krishna, the king Janak, then to the house of Nanak through Guru Ram Das, who has been given the throne of Raj Yoga. It is through that blessing we can share this one secret, sacred science with all the Aquarian age. To a practitioner of Kundalini Yoga, of Raj Yoga, this is all a miracle, a gift of the Creator. As Yogi Bhajan put it, the Raj Yogi's presence performs his miracle. Others have to act and perform and do all kinds of things. But this is the path of the king. It is not the path of the slave. Just feel your presence is acting. Therefore, you have not to act. Never try to interfere with the power of God. Never try to control other people. Serve, excel, and be. This is very beautiful. Once you are a Raj Yogi, what can be left? Sahaj Yoga. The pain of opposites does not affect the yogi, the stage of flow where there is no difference between obey and command. It is a state of synchrony of the mind and soul, so that all experience serves the identity and divinity established in right yoga. It is a flowering, as in the expression of Bani in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. I don't know. Anyway, then comes Gyan Yoga. This is the ability to know things clearly without the subconscious clouding the clarity. Knowledge that only comes after all three minds are conquered, negative, positive, and neutral, and synchronizes self with the infinite. And lastly is Karma Yoga, action in service of the boundless will of the soul. Each action is performed as dharma without reactive karma. To live and develop the Raj Yogi requires self-worth, self-trust, and self-discipline. You accept the gift of your soul from the infinite. You act to sense and serve the soul in all beings. You embrace the full scope of the creative pulse of the Creator without fear or blame. You dissolve yourself as a candle turns into light. You commit to live with subtlety and refine your consciousness. Oh. Okay. Raji Bhajan defines Raj Yog as the royal command and rulership of yogic virtue and values. He says that Guru Ram Das sits on that throne. The Raj Yogi rules the mind and body with the soul in a state of Saibhang or self-illumination. Oh, that's what it means, Saibhang. Self-acknowledgement is part of what makes you royal. Raj is that which commands from the throne of Guru Ram Das. Yeah, many strange words for probably a few. I can't talk. Well, and also, as I said, my yogic name is Tejpal Kaur, meaning the princess, lioness, lover of God. Beautiful. Right. 22 forms of yoga. I wonder if there are any queens, since they're king, Never mind. I mean, there are many princesses. Anyway, Anabhava Yoga. Oh, the 22 forms of yoga here. All right, cool. The discipline of non-being, the higher yogic practice of immersion of the self into the self without objective support. In the higher self there is. And obviously you can see this in various other practices. Yeah. Ashtanga Yoga, the discipline of the 8 limbs described by Patanjali. Bhakti Yoga, the discipline of love and devotion, surrender of the ego in love. Dhyana Yoga, the discipline of meditation, Simran, mindfulness, and concentration, all come under this. Guru Yoga, merger through focus, surrender, and acquisition of virtues in relation to a teacher. It often employs a tratic picture as a meditation in addition to service and modeling the teacher. Okay. Jnana Yoga, the discipline of discriminating wisdom to discern the real from the unreal, the intuitive from the impulse, and the intelligence from the intellect. The real from the intuitive from the impulsive. Yeah, that's easy. Intelligence from the intellect. That's cool. The last one there. Yeah. Many don't do that. Hatha Yoga, the mastery of the polarities. Also cool. I feel, anyways, it's cool, all of it. Japa Yoga, the discipline of mantra recitation. Wow, love that too. Karma Yoga, the discipline of self-transcending action. This was one of the primary approaches expounded in the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, also Gita, that scripture, I have it here somewhere. I mean, it's magical. Honestly, long ago, first when I got that, I guess, I don't know, many years ago, when I used that and had some question and just pointed with my finger. I mean, it didn't happen like that with other books, but that one always gave me a clear answer. Impressive. Anyway, Kriya Yoga, the discipline to bring actions to fulfillment and completion within the self. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali Patanjali, it's not Patanjali, sorry. It is mentioned as the combined practice of cleansing exercises, tapas, deep study, svadhyaya, and devotional conscious worship of the Supreme One in all, Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana, yeah. Kundalini Yoga, the unitive discipline of the power of awareness and the potential in each individual. It is a Raj Yoga, once called the science of the serpent power, Kundalini Shakti, which is fundamental to the Tantric tradition, including Hatha Yoga. In Eastern symbology, the serpent represents energy, essence, awareness, rejuvenation, and the play of the spirit. Laya Yoga, merging the finite with the infinite. The use of sound and mantra with rhythm and sensitivity to its subtle structure, often practiced in groups. Mantra Yoga, a discipline of the yoga tradition ever since Vedic times. It uses sounds that protect and project the mind. Wow. Love that one. That was a Nada Yoga, the discipline of the inner sound, the primal vibration. Siddha Yoga, the discipline of the adepts to develop powers and extraordinary capacities. Yeah. Samkhya Yoga, the discipline of insight into the nature of things, a philosophy of liberation. Yeah, philosophy of liberation teachings referred to in the Mahabharata. Mahabharata. Raj Yoga, the royal unitive discipline, and Mahayoga. The Yoga Sika Upanishad refers to it as the combined practice of Mantra Yoga, Laya Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and Raja Yoga. Add the direct link of awareness given by the Master's Touch, and the Sadguru. Sahe Yoga, practice of a state of ease. Sounds awesome. Flow and grace, in which all polarities are seen to serve the one. It is considered part of Raj Yoga and is both devotional and powerful. Oh, I never heard about that. Wonderful. Shakti Yoga, the techniques in a yoga approach that give strength, power, and activity. It relies on practices and actions that develop the feeling of potency and ability in the individual rather than through devotional practices alone. Shakti and Bhakti approaches inform and supplement each other. Tantra Yoga, the psychological techniques employed in Tantra to clear the subconscious and promote the clarity of the soul. We do the White Tantra form. Tratik Yoga, the discipline of gazing on a sacred subject or picture of the teacher. Yantra Yoga, the discipline of focusing the mind upon geometric representations, yantra, of the cosmos or of energetic processes such as the chakras. Obviously, they are very intertwined here also. They are not clear cut, divided from each other. All right, a little bit more, then I maybe would stop. The many facets of Kundalini Yoga. I'm so curious. I want to read all of this, but I think I should just pause for a while, especially when I can't almost read it, seemingly. The many facets of Kundalini Yoga. Jap means continuous, calm, meditative recitation of a mantra. Japa Yoga is part of Kundalini Yoga, as are Shakti Yoga, Laya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Hatha Yoga. Laya is the contract of the sound of the mantra. Mantra is the formation of the notes and the scale of the sounds and its applied actions or potency. Japa is the technology, Shakti is the power, Bhakti is the devotion in it, Raja is the royalty of philosophy that gives you gracefulness. Hatha is the union of Ha and Ta, the mastery of polarity. These seven form Kundalini Yoga. Until you know Laya Yoga, you cannot tune the mantra. If you do not know japa, you cannot recite it. Without bhakti, you don't have time for it. Without shakti, you cannot perform it. Yogi Bhajan, 17th of August, 76. when I was 6 years old. Okay, never mind. Kundalini yoga and white tantric yoga. Um, these teachings help you to become your real self. The beauty of life is to experience the totality of yourself in complete and in complete unison. Less than that, you will be the victim of your own perpetual fears. Yeah, in every growth, achievement, and success, there is a pleasure to no. There's a pleasure that comes from newness and originality. There is another pleasure and ecstasy which is everlasting, and which comes only when you become anew all the time, every moment. That is life at its fullest. That is the energy of Kundalini Yoga and White Tantric Yoga. When that energy is awakened in you, you become a forklift. You cut on a diagonal. That's what they said before, diagonal. Yeah. In astrology, the square represents our position in life. With the Kundalini energy, you cut the square across the diagonal. Do you say it that way? I won't say diagonal. Diagonal, maybe you say. Yeah. Into two triangles or trines. Trines are considered to be help and good fortune. Life is the art of creating the diagonal energy and never stopping or being stopped. Yogi Bhajan. Interesting. It's, as I said before with these things, it's like they really need to sink in. You can't get this easily like that. But then again, I am too curious to stop right now. The roots of Kundalini Yoga, a brief history of yoga and Patanjali Sutras. Do we even have the energy to do this? Wow, there was a lot of pages here. Why am I so curious? Maybe I have to stop. I must start. I can't stop because this is too interesting. That's the beginning of it, at least. Okay. The ashrams and gurus of ancient India used to be mental workshops. They taught and molded the minds of people to be clear, strong, and to act righteously under all possible circumstances. If all the spiritual teachers started to teach faith in the self and stop teaching faith in a personality, this world would be heaven. Yeah, that's what I try to do in many of my things, to work myself as well. This existence with the infinite mind is at your command. You need guidance and training to experience and manifest this, Yogi Bhajan. Wow, this is so beautiful. I just want to fall on the floor. Yeah, okay. So I will move on to lots of things. I will just not say them beforehand. I will just move on and see what comes next. The evolution of yoga through the historical epochs. The search for truth has generated many schools of thought and disciplines for experience over thousands of years. Yoga and philosophy of consciousness did not spring forth fully formed and independent of historical and cultural processes. It is the historian's job to recast concepts and philosophies so they can be seen as part of the greater unfolding of historical processes and the evolution of great ideas. Our job is to appreciate just enough of that history to help us perceive some order to the evolution of the schools of philosophy that we will briefly survey. We have a specific destination, the foundations for yoga and the study of consciousness. Hence, this brief presentation of historical phases is not intended to satisfy the details necessary for a comprehensive history. It is a conceptual outline to help you recognize and put several key texts and schools of thought in a temporal order. Although the process of awakening the Kundalini and of transcending the ego is universal and can be found in many cultural traditions, it is in India that the philosophy and the techniques of the Kundalini saw its most complete fruition. This timetable follows the twists and currents of that great river of knowledge given to us by the sages and saints of many traditions of the Indian subcontinent. Remember that all the traditions are linked by a common quest and by disciplines that guide the student to self transcendence. As with other disciplines, also outside of this yogic one. Wow, this is so fascinating. Okay. Well, should I even go into that? There are so many epochs, and I should have them in the same video, right? And I think maybe I don't have the energy to do that. Prehistoric epoch, from when we don't know, but to 1800 BC. There is evidence that the rudiments of yoga and meditation are known during this period. And then the Vedic epoch is said to be from 1800 BC to 1000 BC. The Mahabharata, I just say the short version right now. Mahabharata is revealed. The realms of the rishis are recorded in the Vedas. We find the cultural roots of yoga and Sankhya philosophy. The rishis also then discovered, you could say, or got the knowledge of Ayurveda as well. Yeah. All right. And then Brahmic epoch, from 1000 BC to 800 BC. This is a ritualistic, literal epoch. Yoga and the mystical precepts for empowering the individual are not promoted. Upanishadic epoch from 800 BC to 500 BC. The Yoga Upanishads are the Guru Shela relationship transmit the yogic teaching. I don't know how I read it. Yeah, but anyways, the Yoga Upanishads and the Guru Shela relationship transmit the yogic teachings. King Yanaka grandly passes on the traditions of Raj Yoga and Kundalini Yoga during this time. All right, and then we have, but I will go deeper into that next time. Gita epoch from 500 BC to 200 AD, 200. Yeah. Movement towards systemization of the inner technology. The Ranayana teaches of divine love and self-transcendence. The Bhagavad Gita, the path of Dharma and Karma Yoga. Yeah, it's interesting, really, with time periods there. Classical epoch, AD 200 to AD 800. Patanjali reveals his masterpiece of yogic philosophy as the long-standing traditions flourish. And then the Puranic epoch, AD 800 to AD 1469. Esoteric knowledge becomes widespread. Vedanta philosophy sets the stage for the grand synthesis of the next epoch. Then we have the Bhakti epoch from AD 1469 to AD 1709. The grand synthesis creates the householder as the sage. All right. And then the modern epoch, that is then called, then comes the Aquarian age after this, I would assume that, because this is just from AD 1708 till AD 2011 or 2011. The romance between East and West begins, a time of expansion and discovery, great change and possibilities. Yeah, and also since I was also I went to school to become a Waldorf teacher, I also in that also Steiner's those thoughts and so on, practices and way of seeing things, they were very influenced by Eastern things as well as Blavatsky and so on. Yeah, well, I'm too tired for, although I want to dive deep in it, but I will another day. Still having this cold, and as you can hear, I can't read very well. Yeah, well, anyways, I look forward. When you are too eager to wait to read, that's really stressful, kind of. I think actually I've never seen this On the outside of the book, there is Yogi Bhajan, obviously, here. But behind him, there is an image of some, I would assume maybe that is, maybe Ram Dass, maybe one of the other ones. Or representing that golden chain here. Anyways. Yeah, very, very beautiful. Yeah. Now I must go and listen to Sadhguru's talk about. But I think he thought it was dangerous, as many say. If you aren't ready. I also actually wouldn't suggest to others to do as I do, combine a lot of techniques, a lot of things. But to me, I think the reason why it works most of the time for me is because in me there is no real division. In me they are same. It's just various words and a little bit different ways. So, for example, as I said about in the Andean shamanic tradition, they are called navis, eyes, the chakras, not wheels like her. So, and I think in certain traditions they just speak in a stronger way or clearer way about what they mean to me. But it really doesn't matter. It's like it's if it works, it works. But I think it can be really, really confusing. And I hear that sometimes when I talk to others about these things, when I touch on to too many traditions at the same time, to me they sound, to me they are. It's the same path. To me, I feel like I've never changed path ever. It have just widened. I've seen it, or rather, maybe I've seen it from above or from from a different perspective. But yeah. So I can see where my previously I had too limited perception about certain things, but it was not outside of. It's the same. It's the same path. Yeah. Anyway, never mind. So, oh gosh, it will be really fun 2 years to dive into this, right? I can't believe how interesting this is. Yeah, and it takes a toll. I'm quite sure that this cold also, although I have this 5 year or a 5 year old sneezing, coughing in your face like sweetheart. But aside from that, actually, I think it's more the processes within that starts, the whole, it activates things that need to be detoxified. It activates, changing of thought patterns, so many things. So, and it's unavoidable. You cannot do this and not change, because it affects everything. And I think that process, my teacher, she is very mild and we take it easy. But yeah, I'm also very sensitive to energy. So yeah, it's efficient for me to work with energy. And in this form of yoga have always worked miraculously with me. Strangely, I was sidetracked into doing many other things instead of continuing doing it. But still, now I feel so lucky and happy to be kind of on track again with this. Although all the other things I've done other times also, they are things I value a lot. So I don't dismiss that I did that though. But and continuously doing that. Well, yeah, well, and also I think he say that, didn't I read that about him, Yogi Bhajan? He about that someday, or maybe it was this audio that I didn't upload publicly or something, where he made himself sick. He was traveling in Europe, I think, or everywhere, and doing interviews and constantly, or maybe not interviews, but meeting people and doing this and that. And his schedule was really stuck, and he knew that he didn't get enough sleep, or the food was all things, and he knew he would get himself sick. and I feel like it was like a little bit the same for me now. Previously here, I also pushed a lot of things into them because I'm so eager. I want so much, and not that I want so much, but I also want to give so much and do so much. And it was the same for. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the same. I'm just saying that you're sometimes you may sacrifice your health to for a cause or for a purpose that you feel you really value. Not sacrifice it fully, but maybe like minor, as in getting a cold, although it's not very smart, even that. But then, yeah, as I guess he did. But anyways, I realized that, wow, okay, this was good. Now I can calm down and stop pushing all that things into the same little space. I don't have to heal the world, you know. I have a lot of things. I heal a lot of people that have a lot of problems and that need a lot. All this I do, like outside of the other things that people know that I do. But I know also I've always been like that. Many people can do that, heal to constantly to everyone. I cannot do that because even if I use certain techniques that wouldn't influence and affect my energy field or my energy, still it does. I cannot heal without, it seems, not like totally without also I mean, I give from myself as well, similarly, I mean, at the same time. So I can't take on too many at the same time. I've always known, I mean, that I've learned over and over again, but constantly try it again and then I learn again that stop, you can't do that, you can't take on this much. But it's fine anyway. I learn slowly sometimes. Yeah, yeah. I hope this gave you something if I upload this, since I talk so strangely. But thanks for listening if anyone did, and if so, I hope you got something out of it. And ask questions if you have any, also any kinds of, doesn't need to have to do with this. And we will talk later. Bye.